excuse me, hello. To find a chi ban is hard, but I believe it's possible. Where can I find a chi ban nearby?
Fine, chi, ban, har, believe. I don't understand.
Me neither.
Yes, a chi ban. Where can I find?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Oh yeah, me neither.
Hello, Anna. We're looking at some mistakes, pronunciation mistakes. So what mistakes do we have, Anna?
The first one we have is fine. It needs to be fined.
Okay.
The next one is ban. It needs to be bank.
Okay, perfect. Brooke?
The first one is chi. It should be cheap. And the second one is har. Should be hard.
That's completely correct. It's actually deleting the last, they just don't pronounce the last letter of the word. Mm-hmm. And another one I've found is believe. It is actually believe. So, okay, how about you introduce yourselves? Anna, can you start?
My name is Ana. I come from New Zealand and I've been living here in Colombia working at a bilingual school, working with children of 8 or 9 years.
Oh, great. Brooke?
My name is Brooke. I'm from Chicago in the US, and I've been working here for 3 years now as a high school biology teacher and a general science teacher as well.
Oh, that's very nice. Well, my name is YANIT Velasquez. I am from Colombia and I teach English as an occupation. Well, before we start with all of this, because I think it's important to actually point it out, is that we all make mistakes when we're starting, when we're learning, right? It's just part of the process.
Absolutely.
So it's very important that we don't take it personal, right?
Yes, I completely agree.
It happens to me, but in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yes, likewise, all the time. All the time.
Okay, so the objective of this video is basically to explain to you some of the most common mistakes that especially like Latino students make, yeah, when their first language is Spanish. So we're going to just talk about that. So let's explain some of the mistakes. Like there is we're going to actually divide it into 3 different categories. The first one is going to be especially moving the tongue. Yes? So Anna, can you show us, please?
So an example of the need to move your tongue is with the word test. The end consonant, your tongue is moving. Test. Another example is for the word find. At the last consonant, the tongue is making a movement again. Final example is chemical, not chemical. Chemical.
Very good, very good. So you actually emphasize the last letter of the word, which is very important to actually understand the word. Yep. Very good. Another category of these mistakes is when they just don't move the lips. Yes? So can you talk us about that?
Yeah, so one word that is an example of the need to use your lips is describe. The ending with b. You have to close your lips to say that word. Another one that came up in the video earlier is cheap. To say the P sound, your lips need to come together. And lastly, believe. Again, my lips are coming together.
Okay, thank you very much. So those are like some of the most common mistakes. But now let's talk about some recommendations, yeah? So actually before we start with those recommendations, I would say that the sound or the pronunciation of those words are very similar to that one of those words in Spanish, those letters, sorry. Like for example, the V is actually V in Spanish, yeah? That is actually, the T is actually the T in Spanish, and the B. So what would you say they would need? Maybe more awareness? What would you say they would need to do in order to improve this pronunciation, to correct this mistake?
One thing that I would recommend is taking the time to finish your words. That goes so far in making you more understandable. So often it means just slowing down in general would be my first recommendation.
Perfect. What about you, Brooke? What would you say?
I would recommend that people try to immerse themselves in English as much as possible. And yeah, of course, here we don't have as many English speakers in Colombia, but using things like music and using TV shows and movies and really listening to what people are saying to pick up on these kinds of sounds. And yes, of course, slowing down to pronounce every word.
That's true. Thank you very much. Now to finish, I would like to actually go back to those initial words which we made the mistakes. We pointed out the mistakes and now pronounce them correctly. So I'm going to show you this word, Anna. You take it and can you just pronounce it correctly? This believe.
This is the word believe.
Excellent, very good.
Believe.
So in that one, like Brooke said, is basically the lips together, especially lip teeth, which is very like the believe thing. Very good. Now the next one.
Right, this word is pronounced hard. Hard.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Here we have bank. Bank.
That one could be a bit trickier because maybe it's not so much the tongue, it's just like you push the air out like more strongly.
And it's happening more in the back of your mouth.
Yes.
Bank. Yeah, it feels further back in my mouth.
And it's very important because it happens with like. Students end up saying lie. Like, I lie, so it's just a different word.
Completely different word.
Thank you very much.
All right, this word is pronounced cheap. Cheap.
Very good.
Find. Find.
Okay. Now, since we all know that we had like sort of a person making all the mistakes and asking for directions. Do you think that in reality that happens with, native speakers and non-native speakers? That is, the pronunciation mistakes are so bad that they just can't understand it? What would you say? Or was it just kind of an exaggeration? I don't know. Some people kind of like stop talking just because they feel self-conscious, they feel afraid of making mistakes. Maybe it's not so exaggerated, I don't know.
I would say that I guess it depends on who you're talking to. Yeah, unfortunately some people are not as forgiving or understanding, and some people are patient and were willing to listen to you. I have the same thing happen in Spanish, and sometimes I have to say the same thing over and over and over again until it makes sense.
So it depends on the person.
Yeah.
What about what's your experience, Anna?
I think from my experience speaking Spanish, the biggest obstacle for me in pronunciation is having the courage to say the word again and really take your time. To not feel like the first attempt didn't go well and then to walk away or become too timid. So my recommendation would be repeat yourself, go slow, and yeah, eventually you'll be understood.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's perfect. Thank you.